fewer residents within the Federal Capital Territory and its environs, this sight will certainly not be a surprise, as fuel queues resurfaced in most filling stations around the city. A similar scenario is also playing out in Lagos State. Queues to buy petrol could be seen in many filling stations in recent days, worsening traffic situation and leaving many stranded at bus stops across the state. In Abuja, only a few major marketers and the NNPC mega stations were seen dispensing the product, also known as premium motor spirit. Many residents could be seen groaning as they queued for fuel in the few filling stations that were dispensing.
Since January, we've been facing this crisis, and nobody is saying anything. You understand? So I just pray that all this queue will just disappear. It's very, very frustrating.
Well, it's fluctuating. Sometimes you see the fuel, sometimes it's scarce. So for like today, I went to 3-4 places. We just queue, see people queuing, and they are not saying anything.
Please help us to alleviate this problem. It's really too much. Whatever that it needs to be done for this problem to be alleviated, let them help us.
There have been reports that only filling stations owned by Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, had petrol and sell at the regulated price of 170 naira per litre, while some stations owned by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, sell between 200 naira and 210 naira respectively. Recall that for several months now, motorists in Abuja have been grappling with scarcity of premium motor spirits. Initially, the NNPC attributed the long queues to panic buying by motorists who were responding to rumors of a possible increase in the pump price of petrol. The fuel scarcity was subsequently blamed on the massive flooding that hit the country and made some major highways unmotorable. As reports emerged that the flood was drying up and the roads opening, there was a momentary relief in the availability of fuel. It has been weeks after the flood waters have receded and normal vehicular traffic restored. However, the queues have resurfaced, leaving everyone wondering what could be responsible for the situation. This will be the major talking point on the program as guests speak to the re-emergence of fuel queues shortly.
Thank you, Abdul Salam, for the package. And to do justice to the topic, today we have Dr. Timothy Okon. Dr. Okon is a petroleum economist and managing partner, Tenor Energy Resources. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, man.
I also like to introduce Dr. Abubakar Alkali. Dr. Alkali, a university lecturer and an analyst in oil and gas, the environment, oil and gas and the environment. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Also part of this conversation this morning is Shuaibu Muhammad, the Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Suleja, Abuja branch. Alhaji Shuaibu, we're glad to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
All right. And joining us via Zoom is Bala Zaka. Bala Zaka is a petroleum engineer and a public affairs analyst and a regular on Good Morning Nigeria. Bala Zaka, we're glad to have you again on the program.
Thank you. I just want to ask, am I audible enough?
Absolutely. If it is louder than that, then our eardrums will get split. We can hear you loud and clear, Bala Zaka. Thank you very much for being our guest this morning. Gentlemen, we had a conversation around this subject matter on the persisting fuel crisis in major cities around the country. And of course, it was easy on that occasion to blame it largely on the deluge at Lokoja and the environs, which then impeded vehicular movement, resulting in supply disruptions. But as our correspondent said in that background report, the waters and the floods have long since receded. The roads again are in use, and all kinds of excuses. Oh, it's subsidy, oh, hoarding, oh, it's this. I mean, one day you enter a filling station, you buy, say in the Federal Capital Territory, no hassles. You want to refill your tank again, maybe after about a week, and then the next thing, fuel stations are shut. Then, or alternatively, you meet queues running for about a kilometer or more. Let's begin with the Secretary of IPMAN. What do you know as that's say your organization now as to what is happening?
Good morning, Nigerians. What is happening currently in the oil sector is as a result of there is a short fall in the supply and the distribution of the products. As you can see, the marketers rather are not to be blamed, because the sole importers, I've said it in this program before, the sole only importers of this product is NNPC. NNPC is the only person that brings this product. And the facilities, the storage they have, the 21 depots across Nigeria, they are not working. The pipelines has been vandalized. The depots are more or less obsolete. This product, by the time the government imports, NNPC import this product into the country, they dump this product in private depots who has the facility to take this thing. So we marketers who are licensed to deal directly with NNPC will become more or less the third party. So by the time they dump this product in these depot owners, when you that are licensed as a marketer to go there and get this product, the prices will go up. As it is now, NNPC is telling us that there is enough product. The product is available, but the marketers are the ones directly closer to the end users. Now, how to get this product to the marketers is difficult, because the government is regulating the price. Now, if government, as a licensed marketers, government sell for you at 148.17 per liter. By the time they dump these things in these private depots, but you, the marketer, when you go there to buy, they will be selling at 180, 190 to you. So how do you sell? So the problem there is the government and the private depot owners should come out to explain what is happening. Marketers should not be blamed. So it is not marketers' fault.
All right. As we make progress, we want to get into the area of marketers, where many Nigerians blame marketers for their own contribution to what is happening presently. But before that, let's go to Dr. Timothy Okon, who has a good understanding of the supply chain and, of course, of PMS and other, petroleum products. So, what do you understand about the situation? What do you make of that? He had just explained their own perspective to what is going on as independent marketers who are directly involved in the distribution and the direct sales to the end users.
I think I like one word he used, which I will start from there. He says obsolescence. What are the elements of a distribution system? You have storage and pipelines, and in between you have you said 21 depots, very correct. There are 24 pumping stations. Okay, you have attached to the refinery infrastructure. These are not things that they were properly designed. The key thing is, if in the value chain there is no economic return, there is no money to maintain them. They are mechanical equipment. There are things that break down. All right. So the assertion is very correct. Years of underinvestment in that distribution system. The 21 depots, which he rightly says not many of them are functional. So private depots that are newer, etc., have the wherewithal to take these products and distribute them. And of course, the private depots have private incentives. They don't want their depots or the equipment, etc., to deteriorate. Such a man who has gotten to take a loan or something cannot afford to keep that in. So the whole structure of the pricing mechanism for PMS does not allow for value to be made at each of those value points. So when you come to the retail end, the price you pay for a liter of petrol ought to cover all of that value chain. That is really the issue. That price is fixed, and it is not. It's not enough to cover for people to recover their costs right to the supply point. That is the basic economic conundrum that we have. Okay, and so obsolescence in the entire distribution system. The 21. I like to tell people, make a comparison between the tanks and if you go to Escravos, you have a Chevron system on one side, and then you have the national system. I mean, that PPMC owned, etc. The dilapidation is self-evident. You don't have to be a scientist of any to know that there's been underinvestment here, and that underinvestment, like I say, is related to what at the end of the day is the consumer paying for it. So the basic point is that the consumer needs to pay more, not only for the price of the product, but the cost of delivery, because that infrastructure is in a state of obsolescence. There's, you need power, generating sets, etc., to pump things through the pipeline, apart from pipeline vandalism, which everybody knows people are. So you need to secure those pipelines. Securing those pipelines require investment. It requires lots of things that you need to put in place. The design of the distribution system is one of the best in the world. I accept that, because you have Atlas Group, which is the import entry, and then you have this system of pipelines that can take petroleum products right up to Maiduguri. So it's a very, very unique and well-designed system that has suffered from historic non-maintenance, arising from our policy of thinking that a fixed price for petroleum products is a birthright. Whereas it isn't. It's an economic activity, and if that economic activity you are not conducted in a profitable manner, the thing would collapse, like all the other institutions. If you don't run Nigerian Airways very well, you will end up with airline just going under.
So just to add, at what point in our development that this underinvestment in the oil sector started? When did it start? Because we've not had it this bad, over time, but we seem to be experiencing something that
it's cumulative. I mean, you can't talk about a specific point. You don't, if I say there are 24 pumping stations along the routes, etc. Some of the key ones, like if you hear of Ore, it's a key strategic center, because that's where products come from Atlas Group, right? And they go to the eastern part of the country, etc. So a key point like that, the pumps can fail, and if they do fail, you have a crisis. So it is that system, without continually investing in maintaining, and some of them are pretty old. Some of the tanks have caved in, etc. They need to be maintained, and that revenue for money for doing it has to come from the tariff. The tariff hasn't changed for us long. In fact, I did a study in 2011. The tariff ought to be, at that time, tariff was supposed to be 3 naira a liter. But in the economic case, was that it should have been 12. And I'm talking about 2011, 2012. So look at the exchange rates, and then you know that the tariff now is certainly not 12 naira a liter for you to economically deliver petroleum products as intended in the original design. That's the issue.
All right, Dr. Tim Okon, thank you very much. We will, of course, raise some more issues with you. Just to remind our viewers that Dr. Tim Okon also served as Group Executive Director of the NNPC as it then was, and he's also been engaged with the PIA as it is now known. The process of transiting from PIB to PIA, it was also involved. So there are a number of issues we would decompose and then ask you to explain to our viewers so that we can know what corrective measures could be taken. But I saw Bala Zaka popped up a moment ago on the screen. I want to go to him very quickly so that with the Zoom connection clear this time, we'll take advantage of his presence. Bala Zaka, what do you make of the explanations provided so far by Shuaib Mohammed of Ipman and Dr. Tim Okon against the backdrop? So in Lagos, for instance, I mean, scarcity is persisting. Atlas Cove is on the coast of Lagos, and if you were to look at distribution cost, because Lagos, of course, is nearer the point of discharge, Lagos shouldn't be having fuel scarcity. But off and on in recent weeks, we understand that Lagos has also been suffering the same malaise that we have here in Abuja and elsewhere in parts of the country.
Well, thank you for the question, and I agree, Dr. Okon and other guests there. I'm at variance with some thoughts. To me, the reasons are basically two. One, Nigerians' insistence to continue importing refined petroleum products is one of the principal reasons. And the second reason is Nigerian insistence that deregulation is the way to go, especially for the downstream of a country like Nigeria, that is truly a third world country, a country with a very, very weak economy, a country where inflation is ballooning, and everybody knows that, a country where the minimum wage of the Nigerian citizens is 30,000 Nigerian naira, which cannot buy a 50-liter jerry can of diesel. Those are the simple things. I'm happy also it is becoming clear that we have run out of excuses. At some point, we said it was due to smuggling. That's why we're having scarcity. Some point we tied it to coronavirus. At a point we will tie it to internal confusion. We will say, I mean, people are consuming, people are watching films and the rest. I'm happy we've run out of options. But sometimes I ask questions also, direct questions. If refining were to be a very bad business, those countries that we go to buy refined petroleum products, or technically what we call distillates, are we saying their economic and political leaders are fools? And if they are not fools, who is the fool here? I mean, we go to all those countries to buy, they refine, some of them don't even have crude oil, but they buy crude oil, they have functional refineries, they refine, and we go and import. Are we saying we are more intelligent? And if we are not more intelligent, then what are we? I mean, you're talking about a simple thing here. The last time Nigeria constructed refinery was around 1989, 1990. You're talking about 32 or 33 years. We have not constructed one additional refinery. Our current generation of leaders didn't even consider it necessary and important to maintain even the ones they inherited. And we expected anybody to tell us that we are not going to suffer from energy crisis. It is very, very unfortunate. I want to also make it very clear here. I keep hearing people saying that we should bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. There is no bullet here to bite. The truth is this: the approach Nigeria is using is very, very wrong. The model is wrong. We don't want to accept, or our leaders do not want to accept, that we are an emerging economy. They don't want to see this crude oil and gas as energy source. You're talking about a country of 200 million citizens relying on less than 10,000 megawatts of electricity. And we are saying people will not look for other ways to get energy. I'm happy now, World Cup is going on. Everybody is talking about how lit Qatar is, how bright Qatar is. But everything about Qatar is just gas. Meanwhile, Nigeria is more of a gas nation than an oil nation. So what's the excuse there? Have we been able to use our gas to drive gas turbines to generate energy? No. Have we been able to use our gas? I know that from gas you can get ammonia. From ammonia you will get urea. From urea you will get fertilizer. Have we been able to get enough fertilizer? The answer is no. As I speak to you now, I'm from the northern parts of Nigeria. The fertilizer bag that used to cost about 2,500 Nigerian naira is about 25,000 Nigerian naira. And I feel very sorry when people say, I mean, when you subsidize petrol, you are subsidizing consumption. What is consumption to that person may be a catalyst to another person. If you are selling petrol to a barber, he's not consuming. What you think is a consumption to that barber is a catalyst to him to be able to get to a point. If a computer operator buys petrol, he's not buying the petrol because he will drink it. I bought petrol, now I'm on petrol generator because I cannot afford diesel. When we decided that we were going to deregulate, some people were saying when you deregulate, there will be competitive pricing. Fine, we agreed and we have deregulated in phases. Around that time, before we went into deregulation, a liter of diesel was between 80 naira and 100. Today it is 800 Nigerian naira. Where are the investors? We don't want to tell ourselves the truth. The model we are using is wrong. And the earlier we calibrate it and accept that Nigeria is an emerging economy, the distance we are talking about energy source. And Nigeria is too poor for government not to support citizens in terms of energy requirement and security. The earlier we understand those things, the better for Nigeria.
Yeah. Mr. Balazaka, I can feel the energy in you, and the truths that you have just, put out. Because, of course, we all are in Nigeria, and one analyst did say sometime in the late 90s that Nigeria is committing an economic crime by importing petroleum products. This is a product that we're endowed with, the product that we are living on. Yet to develop that sector has become an enigma. Well, of course, we're going to delve into some other related issues concerning our topic this morning, persistent fuel scarcity in some parts of Nigeria. But it should be made clear that this scarcity is not across the nation. It's just in some cities. So something is wrong somewhere. Abuja, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna singled out. In the east, there's nothing like scarcity of fuel. You can buy it higher, but it's there. No queue of any sort. This is also part of Nigeria. So something is wrong somewhere. Let's bring in Shaibu Mohammed. Alkali, Dr. Abubakar Alkali, a university lecturer and an analyst in oil and gas. As a matter of fact, what is your reading, of the entire scenario? Of course, we've heard from Ipman, we've heard from my professional, and of course, Zaka just spoke to us now. What do you make of the entire situation?
Okay, thank you very much again. I think before I, say my perspective, I think there is one thing that I want to shed light on, which is this analogy or theory that NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum. I want to shed a bit of light on that because, you see, to the man on the street, when someone says NNPC is the sole importer of petrol, then when there is fuel scarcity, he shifts the whole blame on the NNPC. And my good friend here, the marketers, have a way of, using this analogy, so as to create the impression that they are not part of the fuel scarcity problem, and it's all NNPC. And the light I want to shed here is that the sole importer issue works this way. NNPC is the regulator and operator of the petroleum industry. And of course, they have the blank check, if you like, to ensure that petrol is available all over the country. But they don't have the capacity. The refineries are not working. And they don't even have the capacity to import. So what they do is they sublet this importation to marketers under a program called DSDP, Direct Sales and Direct Purchase. So it is not right to say NNPC is the sole importer. NNPC sublets this importation to marketers. Subcontracts this importation to marketers. It gives them the license. Kingsley, if you are qualified, if you meet the requirements, you go to NNPC. NNPC gives you the license. Go and import. And this is how this DSDP works. NNPC gives a dedicated volume of crude oil to the marketer and says, okay, for this crude oil, bring PMS or kerosene or both, because these are the two products under the DSDP. PMS, that's petrol, and DPK, which is kerosene, dual purpose kerosene. So bring this volume in exchange. It is supposed to be a direct exchange, arrangement. So at the end of the day, these importers who are given this license to import petrol, they import it and they now, store it in their storages, in their depots, the private depot owners. Whether they remit it to NNPC or not is another issue. I like to bring this comparison, although I know it's not part of the subject matter here. In the housing sector, Federal Mortgage Bank gives loans to developers, and says go and build this number of houses. And we know this happens in Nigeria. The developers build these houses and they don't transfer these houses to the mortgage bank. They end up selling them directly to customers. So this is something. It is something of this sort that happens in the petroleum sector. When the marketers who bring this petrol, who import this petrol under an arrangement called DSDP with the NNPC, when they bring it, they store it in their depots. That's the private depots. Because NNPC doesn't have the capacity. Atlas Corp is down. It's been set ablaze in 2006 and it's been attacked by militants in 2009. So Atlas Corp is down. NNPC doesn't have storage facility. So it gives them the option, store it, for us. And when they store it, they now hoard it. There is a lot of hoarding, both by the major marketers and the independent marketers. And this is clear. NNPC says there is enough fuel now, and I believe them. Why? Because Kingsley today, if you want 1 million liters, if you are ready to buy at 250 or over, you will get it right here in this country. And also, if government decides to, submit to the request of the marketers, because that's what they want, to deregulate the sector or officially push the price to 250 naira per liter, there will be fuel everywhere in this country tomorrow. Everywhere you see fuel. So this fuel is there, but the fact that the regulatory agencies, to that aspect you could say NNPC, comes short because there has not been proper enforcement of the law. If today...
But by the way, NNPC is not a regulator. That would be the downstream petroleum.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority.
Yeah.
But it's all under the auspices of the NNPC, more or less.
No,
just been
I'm sorry, Dr. Akale. You're making a very valid point, but so that we can get a clear trajectory. You might say in describing the parties, because you said under the DSDP, direct sale, direct purchase, NNPC subcontracts, importation to marketers,
Yes.
and then they go get it. So you would then say that as a contractual agreement, NNPC does not appear, from what you are saying, to be enforcing its right against the subcontractors,
Absolutely.
not as a regulator.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it's enforcing, and the regulator, the Nigerian midstream downstream petroleum regulatory authority, is not enforcing it, because you see, I asked this question the other time I was here. Has anybody in this country been prosecuted, convicted, or even prosecuted for holding fuel? Has any filling station in this, latest era of fuel scarcity, has any station been sealed? So if this law is not enforced, then there is no need having it. We should have a situation where there are mobile courts in this country to try holders of fuel. It has gotten to that level. To try holders of fuel, whoever holds should first be pulled out of the law.
I want you to clarify something here, because you mentioned that there is hoarding taking place. Perhaps,
Absolutely.
perhaps from the private owners of what they call tank farms. Where they store
Depots.
the depot. That's the privately owned ones. Now, is there a kind of collusion between NNPC staff who are responsible for the fuels imported and the private depot owners where this fuel is stored? From the importation to the private depot. Now, what happens at the private depot? Does the private depot owner have the right to hoard fuel which has been deposited in its tank by NNPC? And NNPC also perhaps should be overseeing what they are doing. This is their project. And even if NNPC have to perhaps contract out issue of importation to private importers, for me as a Nigerian, it doesn't concern me. NNPC is still responsible for the importation. If they like, they can give it to anybody to do that, but they are chiefly responsible for that. So now, where does this confusion coming from? Is it from the private tank depot, or from the private depot, or with the marketers who now go to the private depot to buy? If a marketer, like he said, goes to a private depot to buy, and the man there says, look, I'm selling to you, I know government says it's 148, but I'm selling to you 160, for instance. What do you expect the marketer to do? So what I want to clear is, I want to understand at what point do we begin to have that shoddy deals that necessitate the fuel scarcity we're talking about?
Absolutely. Now, you can have this kind of situation if there is no collusion, and I fully agree with you on that. There is some form of collusion here, because whenever you have this kind of problem, in every sector, that was why I started the issue of the housing sector. In every situation of this sort, where you have this kind of problem, you will find out that there is a collusion, between those who are supposed to oversee it and the third parties. It is very clear. Okay, so to that extent, you could say the NNPC has not been able to enforce this law, and the onus actually lies on the NNPC. You see, to ensure that the contractual agreement is adhered to. If we bring in this fuel, if NNPC gives you the crude oil and you bring in this fuel, then NNPC should ensure that that fuel is for the country, not for the private depot owners. And this is exactly what is happening. So NNPC, from that aspect, has to really step up its game and ensure that if this fuel is imported, it goes to the right place. But also, on the other hand, there is a bit of being handicapped on the part of NNPC, because, as I said, they don't have the storage facilities. But also, the other question that you ask on the independent marketers. So what they do is, you see, when the depot owners, the private depot owners, increase their prices, that's what they do. Obviously, there's a collusion there. When they increase their prices, when the independent marketers, buy this fuel, when they bring it to the tanks, they also hold it, because I bought very high. So I want to sell very high as well. And the target now is the Yuletide, the end of the year, which we are very close to. Is the Yuletide. Marketers want to push the government to, officially increase that price. So if I buy at 160 per liter and I'm able to hold my fuel until December and the price gets to 200, I'm getting 40 naira. Just like that per liter. You see, so also another issue I wanted to point out here is the issue of the subsidy here.
All right, you know what, Dr. Akali, let's KIV the subsidy issue, because you raised some points, and I see Shuaibu Mohammed has been itching to respond. But Shuaibu, I know that you're going to come in. But Kieran, there's a subtle point here. I know that you run away from legal issues. Perhaps this might be clarified in the course of this conversation. In whom does the property in imported fuel reside? Okay, let me break it down. You say DSDP, direct sale, direct purchase. NNPC says take this crude and then import so much refined petrol and kerosene, right? So you now import and you put it in the private depot. So when you put it in the private, I'm asking about the property, that is the ownership. Who owns the imported refined petrol and kerosene in your depot? KIV that matter, because that's the property right that may then explain what probably we are dealing with, assuming that is necessarily the case. But Shuaibu, let's hear from your perspective.
Thank you very much. I want to disagree, first of all, with Dr. Alkali on what he said concerning petroleum marketers. We are businessmen. We invested our money in order to gain back and make a profit. No businessman wants to invest his money without making any profit. So nobody hoard products the way he tried to tell Nigerians. No marketers hold product. And again, there is what he said concerning marketers importing product. It's unfortunate. Maybe he's not in tune with what is happening currently. As it is today, no individual, no marketers can import product to this country except NNPC, because government is subsidizing. The landing cost alone in an economic where the government is regulating, and the landing costs, nobody can go and bring this product and sell at the regulated price. So government subsidize. Is that not why they are paying subsidy? Government is the only person now that import this product into the country and regulate it and subsidize. So that notion, I want to correct that it is only NNPC as it is today that import.
Yeah, but he said, Dr. Akali said, look, NNPC doesn't have in reality the capacity to do that.
Yes.
And the fact that you are labeled an importer, as NNPC, sole importer, does not prevent the NNPC from subcontracting importation. That's the point he made.
Yes. And this is where I'm going to. He talked about DSDP, that government contract this to marketers. And these marketers are, so I'm telling him that it is the NNPC that bring this product, but they don't have the facilities to store this product. They took this product to private tank farms and keep them there. So by the time they put it there, the tank farm resume the owner. So we are licensed. Now we are buying from third party. Marketers are licensed directly to deal with NNPC.
Do marketers buy from NNPC? Do the tank farm owners buy from NNPC?
Well,
do they pay?
That is why I'm saying.
Or does NNPC pay them for storing their products in their property?
Which will appear to be what you are saying.
Yes.
But if I say store, the property in the petrol is in me that imported. Mm-hmm. If I say store, then I pay a cost for storage. So what do we know? What do we understand?
Yeah. I think from the Atlas scope, the depot owners they paid when this product come. They paid and take it to their tank farms and maybe other charges. But we marketers, we are licensed to directly to deal with the NNPC. By the time NNPC, if the depots or the refineries are working, all this importation will not be there. I have said something here before, like what Dr. Bala said. You see, today in Nigeria, we have to tell ourselves the truth. A country like Singapore, they are not oil producing country, but they have the best refinery in the whole world today. They buy this crude oil, refine and sell back to us. We in the OPEC, our position is number 6. We are oil producing nation. But as I'm talking to you, we have 4 refineries in this country. They are more or less obsolete. No one is working. We have 1 in Warri, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Kaduna. No one is producing. And I have said it on this program before. The way the system is designed, like what Doctor said here, in fact, it's excellence. But wealth is the problem. It's our attitude.
Okay, on the role of individual marketers,
yes,
in the present scarcity we're talking about, in the present saga, there are some stations that we have noted that don't operate under normal circumstances. There are filling stations, but they don't function. But the moment there's fuel scarcity, they become alive. They begin to operate. And mostly at night. And all. So, is that some of your members who are recalcitrant, or is it a kind of a survival strategy by your members who are already hit by the shortage, by the shortfall in the supply of petroleum products?
Okay, thank you very much. As I'm talking to you now, the licensed marketers before, like Abuja, Nasarawa, Kogi, Niger, and some part of Kaduna State, they are TT zone, is Suleja depot. Those depots are not working now. All we are doing, you have to bring this product from down south. Majority of marketers today, you cannot even get access to load. You have to apply to NNPC. There are so many applications now, marketers have applied to NNPC. No, they didn't approve. And you don't even know where you are going to get this product at the officially approved price.
So
now these marketers you see, they don't sell, but when there is scarcity, you see them selling. Of course, you know the law of supply and demand. When the demand is high, what do you expect? They are businessmen. So they can go elsewhere and get the product.
Businessmen engaging in illegalities.
When the commodity is surplus, you know what happened. So as it is, the demand is high and the commodity is scarce. So anybody who has the facilities and you can find your way how to, as a businessman, you will go there to get.
And I think I'm not continuing short really, but I think you have made a point. There was a time those days when we used to have a military regime. We had one in Delhi, and there was fuel scarcity everywhere. There was no fuel everywhere, even at government house. So one particular young man, like sits in the MNA, where we have a depot. No, we have a depot in MNA. It was dysfunctional at that point. So the young man was getting his fuel from Warri. He would go to Warri with his tanks or tankers, right? Stop his filling station, and he was the only person that has fuel in the whole Enugu state. And the military governor said, "Who is he? Go and bring him. Go and get him arrested." He was arrested and brought to the government house. And the government asked him, Abuja then, say, "How come you are the only person that has fuel? What are you doing?" He says, "Look, sir, if you want to kill me, no problem. But I'm the only person that has the capacity to bring fuel in this state. Let nobody come and go to the depot. The depot is dry. So you should commend me for making fuel available in the state." The governor, at the point, the governor thanked him. In short, commended him and sent all the vehicles from government house to go and buy fuel from the station and what have you. So I think that's what he's trying to explain, that the businessmen who are already shortchanged based on what is going on now scout for the product and sell at any price.
Okay, thank you. Like as it is now, sir, let's take Abuja for example, Kano, Lagos. These are cities like Abuja now, for example. You cannot sell this product above government approved price. But when you go, you mention East. When you go to East, these places, they know where to get this product because they are businessmen. They want to make their business. But the legitimate ones that I'm telling you, the marketers are no longer getting it. You apply to NNPC, how do you get it? We are more or less third party. We're supposed to be buying direct from NNPC. The products now are in private hands. You that is licensed to be getting this, you are going to buy from third party.
Yeah,
at exorbitant rate. So what do you expect?
Alhaji Shuaibu, thank you very much. In a sense, you appear to be reinforcing the views of Dr. Alkali regarding hoarding. Because if those who have the products don't want to deal with you on the basis of fairness, but profiteering, and then they hold back and so on and so forth, that would appear to be the case. But Dr. Timoko, you've been listening to all of this. You have your entry point from anywhere you may choose to respond. But yeah, before we go on the break, just carry on.
The theory of natural monopolies, which is exactly the problem you seem to be glorifying. It's when you have one supplier for anything, whether it's tomatoes or potatoes, you create the moral hazards that we are now describing. Do I stay in business? Okay, by trying to get, there's a famous case, Adnan's administration after the Second World War, and it's taught in any good MBA school. So about this moral hazard. The key is that the Germans have always been a very productive people. And they had potato rations. And of course, you had to go and get your potato card to go and get some potatoes. Of course, everybody was hoarding the bloody product. Okay? But the moment rations ended, okay, the prices shot up. And of course, Germans who are entrepreneurial and, everybody brought out their potatoes where they hid it from. There is no legislation now that I'm talking about, the PIA, that has been removed. Section 64 is actually the section where NNPC is continuing this situation in which the petroleum prices are set, and that is government policy. But the best way for this country is not what the gentleman from is talking about. The investors will not come if you are setting a price for them. They come to buy your crude oil simply because you are not the one fixing the price. The moment you are fixing, in Singapore, they don't fix the price of petroleum products. Okay? Where there is no oil being produced. Yes, there are 5 of the largest refineries in the world that are there, and I worked in Singapore. Okay? So, clearly, it's a place where you bring in your tanker, you sell the oil, and those who come to buy the products, right, the government of Singapore does not set the price of petroleum products. The danger for Nigeria is that there are 2 things you must recognize: the value of the product and the infrastructure. And this is the clear distinction that must be made. The value of the product and the cost of the infrastructure is what the regulator has right to look at your tariff model. That's what the PIA says. Okay? The PIA does not fix the price of petroleum products because it's foolhardy. Why is it foolhardy? It's exactly the kind of moral hazard that someone has a cost of doing business. Except we are not North Korea. So we cannot lock people up, seize their property, etc., and be using mobile courts in a democratic society when I'm just in the conduct of a proper business, buying and selling. Okay? trying to fix, it is foolhardy for Nigeria to fix the price of petroleum products. We can look at the economic return someone makes, whether I own a tank farm, and because multiple users use it, you don't want price gouging, etc. Then the tariff for the pipeline, etc. Now, to address the issue you raised, which had to do with, so why should I have a problem in Lagos, and Lagos should be able to get those supplies? Again, it is the issue of the way in which our tariff is run. Tariff is a postage stamp, so it's kind of a fixed rate across the country. The way the design of the pipeline system and the storage systems, etc., many of the things that are happening is that we don't have a replacement cost tariff for them. And someone has to pay for the insurance of fixing all those pipes that have been tampered with. So you need a tariff rate that reflects all of those costs. There is an economic solution to this. It is not a solution of the army or the police, because you cannot put policemen across your every part of your border, nor have policemen guarding every petrol station in the country, when an economic solution is the only viable solution they have. You mentioned the southeast and places like that. People are more practical when it comes to service delivery. You know, I buy it at $2.50, let's say, and they pass on the cost along the road. So the time I spend 6 hours queuing up in some petrol station in the middle of the city or coming to, it's completely unnecessary. Economists see that as a waste of the economy. Yes, the time I could have spent on economic activity. Rather, I am sitting idle and watching a monopolist. You know,
All right.
because you can't cure that. So it's the problem that needs economic cure, and you must separate the value of the product from the cost of transporting it and delivering it to you.
All right, thank you very much. In a way, you mentioned monopoly. I recall those secondary school economics,
yes, theory of natural monopoly, and how to deal with them.
All right, thank you, Dr. Okon. Let's take a short break now. When we come back, the program continues. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and please stay with us.
The Ministry of Police Affairs under my watch has been instrumental to strengthening the Nigerian police force to tackle challenges in the internal security architecture of the nation. To effectively achieve its mandate to protect lives and property within Nigeria, the Nigerian police have deployed operational intelligence and the ICT-based apparatus to tackle and stem the tide of crime and criminality. Some of these efforts include the maximization of the Force Intelligence Bureau, Intelligence Response Team, and Special Tactical Squads through utilization of emergency contacts via the NPF Rescue Me application for emergency response at the top of a button.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an impeccable personality with purposeful leadership. Alhaji Mohammed Meitakobi, the Executive National President of Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria.
In 774 local governments, will be able to put all our structures in everywhere. I'll be able to bring the returns members together, reconcile them to come and work for the progress of the association.
Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an assemblage of professionals in the media space. Some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and lots more. Get a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You're welcome back, and you are on to Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. All our three guests are still with us here in the studios, and Balazaka is still with us also via Zoom. We're just trying to make sense of the persistent fear of scarcity, and you can see the experts are raising multiplicity of perspectives that are very interesting. But how then, of course, do we get over the current challenges? Balazaka, two issues I want to raise. In a sense, they are interlinked. Under the DSDP, and I'm sure this is private contracting, no, well, not necessarily private contracting, contractual agreement between the NNPC and those who then import petrol and DPK, which is kerosene. Very little is said about other derivatives from crude oil, because we know that there are multiple derivatives from crude oil. So if it's only DPK, kerosene, and petrol you are going to bring, what happens to the other derivatives? And then what then would be the rationale for anyone who has imported, say, petrol and kerosene, to now have it in its own storage and say, no, because of the war in Ukraine and Russia, exchange rate issues, I'm going to raise my price. You are raising your price for petrol and kerosene, but other derivatives from the DSDP, nobody appears, I say, because I'm not certain, nobody appears to talk about that. That's one. Secondly, yes, the point about our obsolete pipeline network has been raised, but I don't appear to have heard anything in recent years also about saying, look, ascertaining the integrity of the pipelines. Is it that the entire network of hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers is ruined? Or, okay, there are portions that can still be salvaged and maintained? Because the only thing we hear, the only pipeline issue I hear has to do with AKK, that is Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano, which is for gas. But for the network of pipelines, which of course Dr. Tim Okon has said, look, wonderfully designed, the very best. Schwaibo, who was with us some weeks ago, did also remind us that, look, there is no reason why Abuja should at any time have shortage of fuel products, because it has at least two major sources of supply for this. So besides three now, it just reminded me that three major sources of supply. So we're talking about all of this pipeline, it's obsolete. Have we sat down to say, look, how many kilometers are okay of our pipelines, how many kilometers are not okay, so that if you want to do work, because we cannot avoid the pipelines, we say, okay, excavate the old ones, fix new ones, and then of course wrap up your security. So two issues: integrity of the pipelines and why we are going to be talking about it, and three, why should we, assuming that is the case, be blackmailed by marketers who are subcontracting from NNPC under the DSDP, and they are not talking about other derivatives that are profitable also on the market?
Thank you very much for those excellent questions. And for the purpose of this discussion, as I speak to you right now, I'm not advertising, but I want to tell you that there is this chartered institute called Chartered Institute of Transport Administration, CIOTA. It's a chartered institute. As I speak to you right now, CIOTA 2022 conference or summit is taking place at Yaradua Center right now. And they talk about all the modes of transportation or modes of transport. And there are 5. As I speak to you, go there right now, and after this discussion, I am the chairman. Balazaka is the chairman of Pipeline Transport Committee of CIOTA. It's a chartered institute. So it's not I'm not advertising a private body. I am the chairman of pipeline transport nationally. But sir, I don't want us to deviate. We are discussing shortage of distillates. It is still painful that every discussion we are having now is still centering around imports. We are still insisting and centering around importation. I wish the way we are insisting that there must be election come 2023. You can see in those days when we were young, people would say no Jupiter can stop it. I wish the way we are saying no Jupiter can stop election in 2023. That's the way we will insist that no Jupiter can stop us from having functional state refineries. I wish we will be talking like that. I heard Alhaji Shaibu talking about, I don't blame Alhaji Shaibu. They are private people. They are after profit maximization and cost minimization. So I don't blame him. And when I heard about the analysis in the southeast and the abundance, I don't blame them. They are after profit maximization. They don't care even if Nigerians die. Those people don't care, because as I speak to you, the minimum wage of Nigeria Nigeria is about 30,000 naira. It cannot buy a bag of rice. It cannot buy a 50-liter jerry can of diesel. So when we are talking and we are analyzing and we know the way the country is practically, I'm not a theory person. I'm a practitioner in the industry till today. And when we talk about countries like Singapore and the rest, is drinking water a problem in Singapore? Is cooking gas part of the problem in Singapore? Is electricity part of the problems in Singapore? Is good roads part of the problems in Singapore? We're talking about basic energy security here that Nigerians cannot afford. And we are looking at the practical indices. As I speak to you right now, even the upstream sector is suffering, and people don't want to talk about it. Quote me that I said, quote me that I, Balazaka, said, as of today that I'm speaking to you, there are no up to 15 active drilling rigs in Nigeria. So let's even keep the downstream sector apart. We don't have up to 15 active drilling rigs. And for a country like Nigeria, and you don't have up to 15 active drilling rigs, when we used to have more than 45, but now we don't have up to 15. How can you be able to produce and meet up with your OPEC quota? How can you be able to produce to meet up with your even internal budget quota to take care of budget deficits? These are the things I talked about. I was in a meeting before this presentation. Before this NNP's NTA discussion. I was in an operations meeting. The truck they are using, the drilling rigs, the barges they are using are also relying on diesel. They are in pains because a liter of diesel is about 800 naira. So in some places 850, 900. So even the oil companies are in pain because of energy shortages. As I speak to you now, even yourself, you know, in that your studio at NTA, if you go and cost how much you are spending on diesel, it will be difficult to break even. I'm in Lagos, you are in Abuja. Quote me that I said many strategic industrial sectors, strategic commercial sectors, and strategic domestic sectors are suffering. The banks are practical example. Many banks now, even in Abuja, Lagos, and other places, open around 9 or 10 o'clock and they shut down at around 2 or 3. Is that productivity? We're talking about basic and simple things here. And quote me that I said, refining is not as complex as heart surgery or kidney transplant. It is not. Refining is basic chemistry. Quote me. And I will continue to insist, if refining was not a profitable business, why are other countries refining and we go there and import? Then let me also say this. To me, subsidy is an economic pain cushioning concept. It is to cushion pains. That is what subsidy is about. So even if subsidy in Nigeria is not working, that does not invalidate the principle and global meaning and definition of subsidy. And this is my definition of who leaders are. Leaders are part of citizens, but some citizens like me and others collectively accepted that we are going to hand over our economic, political, and social destiny in their care and in trust for them to manage for us in national interest. And so if refineries in Nigeria have not been constructed from 1990 or 91 to now, we are talking about 31 years. And even the current ones that we have are not maintained. As a loyal citizen, we must say it. And it's very clear. I mean, when you have a weak economy, when you have an emerging economy like Nigeria, you jump and say you will go into deregulation. When you have good concept like liberalization, when you have commercialization and the rest.
Balazaka, you have made some very pertinent points, and I'm sure Nigerians have taken that. Well, we feel the same way you do, because we are all Nigerians and we live here. We have no other nation, and nobody is happy that we are importing a product that we are richly endowed with. And as someone just said a short while ago, that refining is not a rocket science technology. It's a simple technology for those who understand it, and that is why we have artisanal refiners, across Niger Delta. These are persons who didn't study engineering or any chemical engineering, but then they know the technology and they're churning out good products that are being used around this country. It's some simple truth that we are facing.
Use the minds of people. There are things that are simple refining, and then there are complex refineries. We need to be careful again. You're taking on a complex subject and reducing it to, there are complex refineries. Complex refineries do much more than produce fuels. You have non-fuels. And the tragedy of Nigeria is that all of these refineries, etc., are not, even if you turn them on tomorrow, they do not produce. There's nothing that they do to add value to anything beyond fuels. Crude oil is not only PMS, the distillate he likes to talk about, which is essentially kerosene and diesel. Okay, but the entire value chain, value-adding products, when it comes to refining, it's not something we do.
What I'm saying is, Jermaine, there are no two ways about this. But what we need in this country is just PMS, kerosene, and diesel. Let us be functional in the first place. Then the other complex aspect, the other advanced aspect, can be taken care of.
I'm sorry to jump in here. Because we haven't had the opportunity of going around the other guests again. This is a very interesting subject matter, and so we have to return to it most likely tomorrow, but we'll sort that out with our producers to get to know what to do. One question, because earlier you were talking about, so look, why is it a big deal for us to have had refineries? When the Kaduna refinery was being constructed, how many years did it take Chiyoda to build the Kaduna refinery?
No.
Because I recall in the 70s, this was already the military regime. They were digging and then laying pipelines, and you could see them, through the entire corridor. And they said, "Oh, this was was going to take crude oil to Kaduna for refining purposes," and so on and so forth. How many years did it take Chiyoda to build it? And how many years would it have taken us to build new refineries? We're saying, look, there are no investors. We have been borrowing. Why did we not borrow to also build new refineries and save on our forex? It's a continuing conversation, on which note we have to thank our able 4 guests this morning. We will, of course, tap again on their experience and knowledge when we return to this subject matter. Shuaibu Mohammed, Secretary of IPMAN at the Suleja Abuja Depot, we appreciate your being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Dr. Abubakar Alkali, University lecturer and oil and gas and environmental analyst, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve.
Via Zoom, Bala Zaka, petroleum engineer and public affairs analyst, thank you for being with us. And by the way, we had CIOTA guests who were with us on Good Morning Nigeria last week, probably on Thursday or Friday, if I recall. I think it was on Friday. So go ahead with your conference and best wishes. Here in the studios also, our deep thanks to former Group Executive Director of NNPC, as he then was, Dr. Tim Okon, petroleum economist and managing partner, Tenno Energy Resources. Dr. Okon, always a delight having you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for us today. Join us again tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Look after yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm